Matthews says, as a practitioner, it can be hard sometimes to negotiate the division between affirmation and accusations of transphobia. It often seems to be too strongly driven by the personal agendas of the people involved. And I think you'll sympathise with that, Bob. You can do a lot to mostly get it right, but you're guaranteed to get it wrong sometimes. And I hope this can be accepted as okay in practice. Now, I don't know what situations Matthew's got in mind there in terms of getting it wrong, but I know what he means. For many of us, it would come as a surprise when a patient perhaps admits to, acknowledges that they are in some way transitioning, and we then start to worry about what language we use and what we can ask them to do, and whether we have to consider binders and all the other things that might affect their health, and therefore we might say the wrong thing.
Thank you. That is such an important question. So when working with these clients, it's very important not to be put in the transphobic camp, and it's so easy to be put there, and then the patient clams up and doesn't feel that they want to talk to us. So in terms of managing the therapeutic relationship, trying to be neutral and trying to be accepting, and trying not to condemn what the patient wants to do, even though we may be inwardly quite frightened for their safety. That's really important in terms of preserving the therapeutic relationship as a safe place where the person feels they can trust the therapist. And if as a result of some osteopathic treatment, somebody, flashes back to sexual abuse and starts to get upset, I think it's important that the therapist doesn't close that up, but feels able to create a safe place for the person to talk about their mental and emotional well-being as well as working physically. And if you get out of your depth with somebody like that, I would advise you should maybe try and get some supervision from somebody with some psychological knowledge or skill. And I remember what I was going to say earlier, which slipped my mind, which is that I actually think it's transphobic to encourage people to have a medical treatment with evidence which has been called either poor or very poor by neutral agencies such as the National Institute of Clinical Excellence. I think that's a kind of transphobia, because we wouldn't advocate poorly evidenced treatment for any other disadvantaged group of people. So why aren't these people entitled to the same quality of evidence for treatment as everybody else? And it seems to me that there's been so much political disturbance and the culture wars that we've all been part of. Feelings have got so high and people have become so frightened to speak about, what they believe, what they think, what they can see, what they can hear, that somehow the people who have got damaged by this and swept up in it, unfortunately, I think we're going to find in the long term, are the vulnerable children with other mental health problems. Autism is very high. Trauma stored in the body is quite common. I think we're in danger of finding that in the rush to affirm and support people, we've let these people down. And I am in favour of trans rights, but I'm also in favour of the rights of autistic kids, of gay people not to be encouraged to transition, of women to have safe space and safe competition in sports where they're not being outcompeted by biological males. So I think it's a question of balancing different rights. And although that's not really my concern, I'm not concerned so much with the social stuff and the political stuff. I am concerned with trying to work in a sensitive and effective way that honours the biopsychosocial holistic approach. So not just the chemical or physical one, not just the psychological one either. But these are people who if they're suffering with gender dysphoria, they're suffering in a holistic biopsychosocial way, and I think they deserve proper biopsychosocial support.